Hey there everybody, Fuels Front back at you. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but even longer since I've done any build videos or any progress on the Redneck side-by-side, but hopefully we can change a little bit of that today. I've got some parts I want to show you, and hopefully we can get to work and actually make some progress on this build. So when I last left off, I just basically had created the braking system on the jackshaft assembly. It's very similar to a pinion brake on a 2.5 ton Unimog axle. I got it all hooked up. Everything seems to be centered and working properly. I know there's a lot of people with concern about the ratio of the brake disc spinning way too fast, considering, you know, I'm just rolling the wheel a little bit here and that disc is spinning pretty quick. Not saying I'm not hearing your concerns, however, I can't physically drive this disc faster than I can drive this shaft. So when I drive this shaft at high speed, that disc is not going to spin any faster than I can drive it. So really, it shouldn't be a problem with balancing or having it scatter, coming apart like a flywheel at high speeds or anything like that. Whereas this is going to be kind of a low-speed machine. This thing's never going to reach speeds of 20, 30 miles an hour, which means that thing's not going to be spinning really all that fast. And as you'd seen before, we got it all hooked up and functional, and the brakes actually really do work, and they actually also lock in place. When you hit this gas pedal, parking brake comes undone, which is pretty sweet. It's a good little fail-safe, especially considering my kids are going to be driving this and they're like 5 and 7 years old, so really they're not going to understand the concept of a parking brake and disengaging it when you go to drive again. So really the idea here is that this thing is going to be a very big, beefy, two-seater Power Wheels of sorts. Kind of low speed, doesn't need to go fast, but I just want it to be able to kind of crawl and drive over anything. So we're going to keep it nice and low geared. Going to try to keep it quiet so it keeps the little children from being scared. But I still think it'll be fun for us adults to cruise around on it. Definitely going to be able to take it through mud, things like that. I might have to put some recovery gear on it because it's pretty heavy. But it's just going to be a little fun buggy for around the house and probably through the woods too. Maybe they'll go on rides with me, with the wife and everything. So we'll see. So I've started to gather some drivetrain parts here, and this is a brand new 212cc Predator motor. I actually purchased this from Harbor Freight probably 3 months ago, and it's just been too cold to be out here in the garage working, so it's literally just sat inside my house for a very long time. There's no oil, no gas. I've yet to run it at all, so I'm going to just assume that this thing's in perfect condition. It's just going to run when I fire it up for the first time. Over here in the box, we got basically the other part of the equation, the drive system. This is the manual for the Predator motor, which obviously I don't need. But as you can tell from this cover, we're probably can assume we are going to be driving this thing with a TAV torque converter. This is actually a clone. This is actually a clone of the TAV. It's not a real Comet, a genuine Comet, even though it looks like it. They did actually go the extra mile and went ahead and removed this rib right here, which usually interferes with the mounting. They usually strike this oil cap. You either have to shave the oil cap and or remove this rib. I had to do that on my racing mower build. So that's pretty sweet that they actually already fixed that for us. Down here you really can't see much, but this is going to be the drive sprocket. It's going to go back here on my jack shaft. Got it nice and small so I can get a nice high ratio, because this has obviously got like a, I figure it's like a 12-to-1 or a 14-to-1 reduction inside this gearbox here, so I wanted to keep it geared pretty high. Even with this gearing, I think it's still only going to go like 15 miles an hour. Not really sure. A couple locking rings to lock the sprocket into place on the jack shaft. This is their random toolkit for the Predator motor. It's just a stamped steel piece of shit tool. Never going to use that. This is the driver for the torque converter here, without getting into it too much. Brand new, still unopened. And lastly, we've got the engine mounting plate, just to make mounting that much easier. Some more information cards for the Predator, and a bunch of hardware for the torque converter. I know some of you might be disappointed in the fact that I didn't actually end up going ATV, but to be honest, when I started looking at ATV motors, especially ones with reverse, which is kind of what I wanted, I was looking in the $400 to $500 range for a used machine that may or may not run, that might need some work, which would probably cost me another $200 or $300 to get the thing in a reliable state. So instead of doing that, I just spent, I don't know, I think this whole drivetrain system probably cost me around 250 bucks. Everything's brand new, so I know everything's going to work. I've had really good luck with the CVT system on the go-kart, and the Predator motors are very reliable. I'm going to leave the governor intact. I'm going to leave it unmodified so the kids can ride it and just hold it right to the board, pinned, full RPM, and the thing won't come unraveled underneath them, just for simplicity's sake. And I'm probably going to keep the exhaust quiet. Definitely want to extend it out the side so it's not burning their asses up through the seat. That would be kind of unfortunate. The beauty part is there's so much space underneath this seat here, as you can see, below where it's going to sit, that I can upgrade this at any time with another motor. It's not really a big deal if I ever decide, you know, this thing just doesn't have what it takes to do what I want it to do. But really, 6.5 horsepower, and these usually produce about 8 or 9 pounds of torque. Should be plenty to drive a couple of little kids or a couple of drunk adults around on this little two-seater side-by-side. So I just threw the engine mounting plate in there. It is not welded or even tacked into place. I just kind of set it there temporarily, and I'm actually kind of enthused to see that it actually spans the distance of this old battery holder. Obviously I'm going to do some reinforcement here, maybe get rid of this funky little tab from something that used to be here before. I'm not even sure what actually that was functioning for, but that can get chopped right off. But actually, let's go ahead and test fit this motor and see if it clears everything underneath the seat. So there she sits. Actually looks like it almost totally clears that level plane for the seat. I'll toss that seat on there in just a second to make sure, but it's actually looking pretty good. See down around here, the oil is still very accessible. The on-off switch is very accessible. Even the pull handle will be very accessible. And probably what I'll do is I'll pull that through the hole here so you can just pull it right off the front of the, what I guess would essentially be the firewall for the engine. Alright, well with the seat on there, judging by this gap right here, it looks like we are in fact resting on the top of the motor, which is not good obviously. I'm guessing it's this metal bar here striking this fuel cap. So we'll have to come up with some kind of solution there. Maybe I can just lift the seat an inch. That would be easiest, rather than trying to drop this motor down even lower. I could mount the mounting plate to the bottom of that bracketry down there, but we'll see. Yeah, it's sitting on that whole gas tank basically, and really, it's a pretty small little engine in there. It's very unintrusive to the whole structure of this whole thing, which is actually pretty nice. I think it'll get plenty of airflow. I'll have to put up some sort of shield for the or a fender for the tires, so it doesn't actually just chuck mud into the blower housing of the Predator engine. But yeah, seems like it'll actually fit pretty well once I get this seat lifted up into position another inch or so. I could probably even leave the stock original gas tank right where it is. Just flip the seat up, fuel it, drop the seat, drive it. Got a lot of other things to worry about here too, like attaching a throttle assembly to this guy here, which looks like it'll actually be really easy to hook a throttle cable up to. And then I just gotta run the throttle cable up to the throttle assembly of the Predator engine. Yeah, this actually looks like it'll be a pretty easy swap here, boys. Getting kind of excited. So I popped the seat back off there, and I really wanted to mock up this CVT system just to see how everything would kind of lay out. But these damn people, I don't know what it is about the manufacturers of these systems. They always send you, I think these are standard threaded bolts, and I mean obviously, or maybe they're metric, I don't really know what the threading is in the Predator motor, but it goes in 2 spins and, you know, obviously starts cross threading, so I can't use these. So that means I gotta buy all new bolts for this stupid mounting plate for this stupid CVT. I don't know why they do that, but that seems like it's always been the case every time I buy one of these things. It's kind of frustrating. You don't get everything that you need in the box. Maybe they assume you're going to use it on a Briggs engine or something like that. I don't know why, considering everyone now uses these Honda clones or Predators, but whatever. I gotta go to the hardware store and buy some new bolts, so I guess I'm not going to get this thing mocked up into place like I wanted. But one thing I can do is yank this whole jack shaft assembly apart and get ready to mount the new sprocket and locking rings here on the back, because that has to be done. And that way, basically, this whole rear end drive assembly will be essentially done, finished, and just all it needs is the engine and CVT to be hooked up along with the gas pedal and other little odds and ends, things like that. Alright, so the sprocket's in place, and believe it or not, that took a lot longer than I had originally anticipated, because initially I'd had the sprocket flip the other way, and when I mounted the engine I had to slide it over, and I realized that the CVT was actually going to collide with a lot of this mounting bracketry, and even still it's going to collide with this this angle steel down here on the bottom, which is going to kind of cradle the motor right there. So basically this is going to have to get seriously notched and or cut completely out, and this whole mounting structure be restructured with different steel, maybe running front to back, similar to like I did on the racing mower. Kind of didn't anticipate that, but you know, these things happen. That's why we mock this stuff up. I got to source these bolts like I mentioned before I can even really fully mock up the CVT system. But it is kind of nice having the sprocket in place, because now I can finally see what I've got to drive this thing with. But with things lined up the way they are, the engine is almost, I think, almost lined up where it needs to be. Basically just kind of slid it, I think, 2 or 3 more inches into the driver's side, and I think that's roughly where it's going to be. We won't know until I get the CVT mounted to the motor, and then maybe cut some of this steel cradle out of here, and then figure out a way to mock up a mounting plate and stuff like that. But we're making progress. I know it doesn't seem like much, but you know, mocking stuff up, taking it apart, putting it back together, and I mean, I probably had that jack shaft out of there 3 times before I had it just the way I wanted. And like they say, your project's never done until you draw blood. Well, there you go, my ring finger. I pretty much peeled the knuckle off of there, so hopefully this will mean that it's kind of a successful little mock-up here. Let me know what you guys think. I know it doesn't seem like I did much today, but I've been out here for a couple hours at this, so I think I'm going to call it a day for now. I got to get some more hardware to get things mounted. But yeah, tell me what you think, good or bad. We're going to go forward with this plan. I think it's going to work pretty good, especially considering my kids are going to be riding and stuff like that. But if you liked the video, drop me a like. It only takes a second, and it really helps support my channel and keep things rolling here smoothly. So yeah, help me out. Hopefully we can start doing steady videos here. I'll try to get them up once a week if I can. If I can't, I'm sorry. I got a busy life now. But this summer I should definitely be doing another project. I think I got one on deck. I'm not going to let you know what it is yet, because I don't even fully know what it is yet, but I've got some ideas. But yeah, stay tuned. We're going to get some more stuff done on this thing. Hopefully we'll be driving in the next couple of weeks, because there's really not much more to do besides mounting the engine, the throttle cable, and getting everything like the drivetrain all hooked up. So yeah, getting excited. Let me know what you think. Rate the video up or down. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.